Brexit has been delayed again for another 3 months. Following a marathon session on Monday, the British Parliament enacted a law to block Prime Minister Boris Johnson's push for a no-deal Brexit next month, while rejecting his call for a snap election aimed at forging ahead with Brexit without an agreement. The British Parliament was also suspended until October 14th. While uncertainties continue to hover around the much complicated divorce between the UK and the EU, today we go in depth on the issues surrounding Brexit and its impact on the global economy. But first, let's turn to our Oh Soo-young for the latest developments.
For the second time, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson failed to gather support from MPs to call for an early general election before he shut down Parliament on Monday night.
Why are they conniving to delay Brexit in defiance of the referendum? The only possible explanation is that they fear that we will win it, Mr. Speaker. I will win it and secure a renewed mandate to take this country out of the EU.
Lawmakers once again voted down a snap election as they see it as an attempt to circumvent a new legislation designed to prevent a no-deal Brexit. It requires the UK to delay the departure date to January 31st next year, unless MPs agree on an exit plan with or without a deal by October 19th. Johnson, however, has refused to delay the departure date any further. He said the government will use the 5-week suspension of Parliament to work on negotiations with Brussels, while preparing to leave without one. The move triggered harsh criticism from Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn, who called it an attempt to silence the opposition.
Government ministers have offered no explanation of the deal they are seeking, even if there is such a deal they're seeking, let alone any worked-out proposals presented to Parliament for scrutiny. No wonder they're so keen to prorogue so early to avoid any scrutiny of what they're doing.
To scale up pressure on Downing Street, MPs also voted on Monday to force the government to publish private messages and detailed plans on a no-deal scenario and its move to suspend Parliament. House of Commons Speaker John Bercow also announced his resignation, showing anger over the prorogation. After 10 years in service, Bercow said he'll stand down as Speaker and MP at the next election or on October 31st if there is no early election. This means his successor would be selected by the current Parliament, which does not have a majority to back Johnson's Brexit plans. Parliamentary sessions will resume on October 14th. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
And now Dr. Shin Sang-hyup, professor of Pan-Pacific International Studies at Kyung Hee University, now joins us on the line to go in depth on this issue. Dr. Shin, thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you.
So Prime Minister Boris Johnson is pushing for a Brexit with or without an agreement, saying he'd rather be dead in a ditch than delay Brexit. He's also arguing that the backstop included in the withdrawal agreement must be amended. Could you first tell us the key points of the Brexit withdrawal agreement?
Yes, when the UK government was led by the former Prime Minister May, and the UK government and the EU agreed that whatever happened as a result of the Brexit negotiations, there should no new physical checks or infrastructure at the frontier between Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. So the border problem between the Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland has been one of the most difficult questions at the negotiations for the UK's leave from the EU with the European Union. And then as a way to minimize the impact caused by the frontier problem between Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, both sides agreed that even though UK leaves from the European Union temporarily, UK will remain within the customs union, European Union and single European market. By doing so, they can avoid the difficulties because of the borderline issues between the Republic of Korea and Northern Ireland, Republic of the Ireland and the Northern Ireland.
Now, a bill has been passed to block a no-deal Brexit, and upon the Queen's approval to the legislation, it has become a law. So it now means it would be illegal for the UK to leave the EU without a Brexit deal. Could you tell us more about this law?
Yes, recently the UK Congress passed a bill. According to the bill, until the October 19th, which is one day after the EU summit, the UK should have to send a letter asking the delay of the Brexit for 3 more months. So it means by the end of January 31st, 2020, the UK, the letter will ask the delay of the Brexit. But to do that, before the October 19th, if the EU and the UK successfully finalize the Brexit negotiations, the UK government will not send this letter to the European Union. Another situation which does not need the the UK government letter to the European Union for the delay of the Brexit is if the UK Congress passed the no deal Brexit at the Congress, they don't have to send this letter to the European Commission. But considering the current situation in the UK, the possibility to see these 2 occasions is very, very low. So we can say that by the October 19th, the UK Prime Minister, UK government should send a letter to the EU Commission asking the delay of the Brexit by for the 3 months. By the way, certainly the UK Prime Minister, Mr. Johnson, does not want to do this one. So actually, this is the problem between the European Union and the UK government at the moment.
Now, Prime Minister Johnson's second call for a snap election has been rejected. What are the implications and what are the remaining options for Johnson?
Maybe he has 2 available options. So the first one is, on the part of the European Union to accept the delay of the Brexit suggested by the UK government for the 3 months, it should be decided by a consensus. That means 27 member countries should have to say yes to delay the Brexit. But among 27 members, a few members do not want delay of the Brexit, such as Hungary. They have shown some different stances from the EU common policies. So the UK government can persuade such a country not to accept the UK delaying the Brexit for 3 more months. The other one is actually before October 19th, the Prime Minister Johnson can resign from his post, and then there will be an early general election. And then in the early general election, there is a high possibility that the Conservative Party and the Brexit Party, which they have supported for no deal Brexit, they have more possibility to win at the general election. Then they can form new government with the hardliners, who are the supporters for no deal Brexit. Then they can pass the bill, the no deal Brexit at the Congress, which I already explained. So these 2 things can be the remaining the options, to the Prime Minister Johnson at the moment.
Now, the complications surrounding Brexit have been going on for 3 years now. Although a law has been enforced to block a no-deal Brexit, what are some of the variables that we need to look out for?
Definitely among the EU people, the UK people, some people, not a few, they wanted to remain as a member country of the European Union. So the Prime Minister Johnson maybe tried to make every effort to have the no deal, the Brexit, as I already explained. So we have to watch out the policy changes and possible policy changes which will be taken by the Prime Minister Johnson. And depending on the policies taken by the Prime Minister Johnson toward the Brexit, we should have to prepare appropriate policies to respond to those kind of new policies taken by the Johnson-led UK government.
Now, with the suspension of the British Parliament, global markets have taken respite from Brexit uncertainties for now, but we can't completely rule out the possibility of the UK forging ahead with no-deal Brexit. If that actually turns out to be the case, what are some of the possible impact on the Korean as well as the global economy?
Well, as we know very well, the global economy has been slowed down because of the trade war between China and USA, and the UK Eurozone economy has been slowed down very rapidly over the last few years. In the middle of those kind of the economic difficulties, the Brexit will increase the uncertainty in the economy. Particularly, global financial market will be affected quite negatively because of the Brexit, and the uncertainty in the Korean financial market also increased because of the Brexit. So, as you know very well, the trade and then financial uncertainty in financial market directly, related, very close related between these two. The trade can be affected because of the uncertainty in financial market. So we have to prepare for the some economic difficulties, mainly, firstly by the trade war between China and USA, and increased uncertainties in global financial market, mainly caused by the Brexit.
Now, the European Central Bank's policy meeting is set for this Thursday. How would the current Brexit situation affect its stimulus measures?
Well, as I already explained, that the European economy has been slowed down very recently. If I give you some figure, European economic zones showed the 0.2% economic growth in the third quarter of this year. But in the second quarter, they showed 0.4% economic growth. That means that, over the last 3 months, even 3 months, the European economy has been slowed down further. And one of the largest economy in the European countries, that is Germany. Germany is heavily reliant on international trade, and they also show the minus 0.1% economic growth rate, decrease in the third quarter. So certainly we can say that the Eurozone economy has been slowed down. In the middle of such a kind of economic difficulties, European Central Bank is considering very actively to lower basic interest rate. Certainly, right now the ECB's basic interest rate is 0%. So by lowering the basic interest rate further, they want to revitalize the slowdown European economy. According to the forecast released by many the economic think tanks and economic research organizations, there is a high possibility that ECB will lower its basic interest rate by 0.1% at the meeting in the coming meeting, and then also Ricardo, who is the head of the IMF, but she was designated as the leader of the ECB, and according to the interview with her, she also considered to implement the asset purchase policy. That means by purchasing the many assets, they want to provide more money to the market, and then through those kind of efforts, they want to revitalize, slow down European economy.
All right, that is all the time we have for you. Thank you, Dr. Shin, for your perspectives tonight.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.
And that wraps up our show. Thank you, as always, for being with us.